Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Now, today I have something special. I'm going to give you guys my zombie control deck list. I've been working on this deck for a few years now. A lot of changes, a lot of switch cards, blah blah blah, all that. This is somewhat the final build, missing one card, but I'll get to that when we get to it. Let's start with 3 copies of Unizombie. Unizombie's mainly your main starter of the deck. Basically, discard one, target a monster on the field, gains level, or send a zombie type monster from your graveyard to the from your deck to the graveyard. It gains level. Same thing. Basically, you send Banshee, Solitaire, no, not Solitaire, Mizuki, Gozuki, whatever you need at the time. Now, you also run 3 copies of Solitaire. Solitaire just gets you into Uni, which gets you into everything else. So it just combo. Um, Moving on to a few other cards, we also run 2 Doom King. This is your boss monster of the deck. This is what controls the deck. Basically, whenever a zombie, during each player's standby phase, if there's a field spell on either side of the field, he comes back in defense position. And then whenever a zombie monster's effect is activated, he can either negate that effect or banish one monster from the field or engrave non-target. Now, keep in mind his effect can only be activated once per chain, and neither Doom and like if you're playing a mirror match, Doom King can't use Doom King on Doom King. It has to you can't do that. Then you also play 2 copies of Necroroll the Banshee. I try to run her at 3. It works, but I found my love is just 2 copies. It helps thin out the deck more. But basically, on board, when she's summoned, when she's on board, she protects your zombie world from destruction. And then you can quick effect banish her from either your field or engrave, and then activate zombie world from hand or in deck. So basically, she gets your zombie world out, which continues your plays, which is pretty much the premise of the deck. Next, we play 2 glow up balloons. I've seen a lot of builds only run maybe 1, maybe 2. I run 2 because there's a lot of other cards I run, like level 5 or higher. Um, he can be a starter, but he's more of like an extender. When he is sent to graveyard, you can banish this card, and you can add a level 5 or higher zombie type monster from your deck to hand. Now, if Zombie World's on board, you get to special summon that target instead if you want. And then after you use his effect when he's banished, because his effect, you can only summon the zombies for the rest of that turn, which slows the deck down, which does suck. It really does suck. Next we play the 2 copies of Mizuki. A lot of people usually cut Mizuki or run him at 3. I found 2 is perfect, but I might put him back up to 3. I don't know yet. He's one of those cards. He's basically just Monster Reborn for your zombies. Here's some tech zombie cards I've been running recently that actually been working. Jackabolin, Vampire Fraulein, Gozuki, and Plague Spreader Zombie. Plague Spreader Zombie basically, when is in graveyard, you could put a monster on your hand, top of the deck, special summon this target, then banish it when it leaves the field again. This is very good for an extender, and plus it's a tuner, so you know Hawk, Link, Synchro, whatever you need. Gozuki is a once per turn Foolish Burial, and then when he's sent to graveyard, you can banish one other zombie type monster in your grave, then special one zombie type monster in your hand. That's very good for when Doom King is locked in your hand and you do have another zombie in your grave. It just helps get Doom King out faster. Fraulein, she's basically an honest for zombies, but she can special summon herself during battle. During when a monster declares a attack. You can only pay life points up to like 100 to the max 3k. So basically, any monsters you control at the time, any zombies, I do believe, gain that much attack, which is very powerful. And then we have Jack. Jack thins out the deck a little bit. It thins out your hand from dead zombie cards. Like, for example, Mizuki, you want that in Grave. Or Plague Spider, do Bloom, Banshee, whatever, Doom King. It just discards one, special summon it. And then during your opponent's main phase, you can target one zombie type monster in either player's grave. So Zombie World's great. Then special summon that target to your side of the field, but banish it when it leaves the field. Then you banish Jack until the end phase, and then he comes back, and then he's ready for your turn for like extend. Now the hand traps we run in the deck is 2 copies of Ash Blossom. Don't need to say anything about that. It's Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is great. And then we also run 3 copies of Gamma, and then the 1 copy of Driver. Gamma is a great card for when, like, say I'm activating Foolish Burial, no monsters on field, by the way. Say if I activate Foolish, and then my opponent says Ash Blossom or something like that, something negate, a monster effect to negate. You activate Gamma, summon a Gamma and a Driver, and then you have 2 bodies on board, and plus that Foolish still goes off. That's a free Hulk, and plus then it just helps for like when your opponent like it just wants to pop off. You could just say no. Now, I've been running this engine, this little side engine, for a little while, and it's helped a lot. I run the Phantom Knight engine. 1 Boots, 1 Cloak, 1 Stain. Stain is literally just it's literally just it's a staple for until I get a Stain. What's a new card? I forget what it's called, my bad. But I don't have a copy, but that will be replaced when I get one. So the Phantom Knight cards just help me get Fog Blade, which is another stall card, which slow your opponent down because it's zombie control. Cloak will add a Phantom Knight card, a Phantom Knight monster, and then Boots will add a Phantom Knight Spiral Trap when banished. When a Phantom Knight monster is special summoned from your hand, you can special summon this card from your hand. That is great for when, say, if you activate Cloak, then you add Boots, and you already have this in hand. If you have Rusty on board, you can special summon your Boots, and then special summon him. Now, he can gain a level, but I don't do that. Because I usually just, overlay, blah, 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 do all that plays. Now, on to the spells. This deck would not be called Zombie World Control without 3 copies of Zombie World itself. Any monster on board and in graveyard becomes zombie-type monsters, and no one can attribute monsters except for zombie-type monsters. This card is just it's just a floodgate, and plus it's very powerful. Next, we also run 3 copies of Super Poly. Super Poly is super strong in zombies, especially with Zombie World out, just broken. And plus, it also thins out your hand, gets whatever you need out. Like, I did one play, like, I activate Super Poly with Bloom in hand, drop Bloom, got the fusion out, and then activate Bloom to summon Doom King from my deck, and that's just an extra negate. Very powerful. A very good card that got reprinted recently that I've been running 3 of is 3 copies of Dark Ruler No More. Your opponents could just kind of have a lot of negations, like, for example, Dragon Link, they have a lot of negation monsters like Savage, Dragoon. Just activate Dark Ruler No More during your turn. It just helps you play. Same thing with Super Poly, but you know what I mean. It's just no. And then the 1-ups, Foolish, the 1-for-1, and the Call by the Grave. Call by the Grave, stop hand traps, stop extenders, Foolish, extender, 1-for-1, extender. Just goes off from there. Moving on to the trap cards, we run 2 copies of Rivalry of the Warlords. Now, if Zombie World's out, neither player can only summon and control zombie-type monsters, which is great for, like, for example, you're playing against Dragon Link or something like that, right? Say you were playing against Dragon Link. Zombie World alone already slows them down to a point, but with Rivalry of the Warlords out, if they summon 1 time, they cannot extend. They cannot extend it to their links, their synchros, anything. So this is just, it stops pretty much anything, which is great. Next we play 2 Fog Blades. So Fog Blade just, it's just Fog Blade, Then you run the 1 Shade, just a free body on board, and plus it's a trap. Now, I am running 1 Metaverse. Not 100% sure this is going to stay in the final build, but it basically adds a zombie world from your deck to hand, or activate it if needed. So that's basically 3 copies of Banshee. Now, moving on to the extra deck, we run 1 Absolute Zero. Basically, up to 2 times you can activate her effect. When a monster is special summoned from the graveyard to the field, you can target 1 monster on the field. It loses 0 attack and negates its effects until the end phase. It's just very good. Like if you're going first or second, like say if I'm going second, right? And then I summon her first somehow, and then during my opponent's turn, Doom King comes back, just negate something on their field. Next, we run 1 Rusty, just Phantom Knight Extender. Basically, once per turn, you can drop 1 Phantom Knight monster from your deck, set 1 Spare Trap, and it pops off. Next, we play the 1 Nightmare Unicorn and the 1 Nightmare Phoenix. Don't need to say anything about that. People already know what these cards do. If you don't, Nightmare Phoenix just pops the Spare Trap, and then Unicorn targets and sends it back to deck. Now, if they're co-linked, you can also draw a card. So that's great. Next, we play the 2 copies of Vampire Sucker. Now, I was running Vampire Sucker at 3, but I needed room in the extra deck, and it was very hard to choose what to take out. So I had to take out the third copy. But two is fine. Basically, her first effect is you can target 1 monster in your opponent's grave, special summon that to their field in defense position. It becomes zombie type. And then her second effect, when a zombie monster is special summoned from the graveyard, you can draw 1 card. That is a hard one to return, sadly. But basically, so if you can't extend into Doom King and pop off more, you want to use her, and you're on second, you want to use her effect to target one of your opponent monsters, summon it, and then draw a card so you can have a free draw. Next, we run the 1 Avenged Savior. Now, in this build, you only use its final effect to drop 1 card in battle from your deck. That monster loses 200 times its level, which is great. But if you're running a Vendread deck, it also helps out a lot. Next, we run the 1 Hawk. Hawk, tuner extender, helps me go into Plague, Bloom, whatever I need at the time. And then during my opponent's turn, I will Synchro summon it off for a tuner Synchro monster, which is very powerful, and I'll show you that in a sec. Next, we play the 1 Link Karibo for an extender for Bloom, or whatever we need at the time. Very good. Next, we do play the Phantom Knight Break Sword. This is when I can get boots and stained out. I usually go into him, pop something on my opponent's board, pop him. They both come back for an extra extender. Next, we play Formulon Synchron. This is the Hawk target for my build. Basically, you can draw an extra card on your opponent's turn. Very powerful. And then, if you have the right targets on board, you can also Synchro summon during your opponent's turn. Next, we play the 1 Red Eyes Zombie Necro Dragon. It gains attack for every zombie in grave and board. 100 for everything. And then when another zombie destroys a monster by battle, I can special summon a zombie, which is very powerful. Next, we play the 1 Omega. Everyone knows what Omega does, but if you don't, basically during the standby phase, I can target 1 of my banished monsters and return it back to the graveyard, which is very powerful to recycle resources. And then during the main phase, I can banish this card and banish 1 random card from my opponent's hand. So it's basically ripping a card out to make sure I don't die immediately. Next, we play Super Poly targets. Starting Venom Dragon and Nethersoul Dragon. Nethersoul Dragon is for when Zombie World's out. It's great for battle. Whatever it battles, that monster's attack goes to 0, and my opponent takes whatever damage. and then I can special summon a token with the exact original attack on that token and level. So it's basically a free body, and plus it's just battle protection, but he will die if it's higher than 3k. Starving Venom, everyone knows what Starving Venom does. It's just there. You guys know what he does. So that was my Zombie World controlled deck profile. Don't forget to leave a like and a comment if you like this video, and remember to subscribe. Thank you.